We'd like to extend our warmest welcome to our principal, Mrs. Sangeeta Bhattacharya.
We also welcome all our dedicated teachers and our dear friends who have joined us today. Last but not the least, we'd like to extend the most warmest and the most heartfelt welcome to our chief guest for today, retired Colonel Harish Kumar. Thank you all for joining us here today for this enlightening discussion on careers in the Indian Army.
That's right. In this program, we will explore various aspects of a career in the Indian Army, where you can embrace a life of immense pride, honor, and selfless service to the nation. You can experience unparalleled camaraderie, cutting-edge technology, and gratifying opportunities that foster personal growth.
You can stand tall among the best and the bravest, safeguarding our boundaries and people. You can be a part of this glorious legacy and create your own story of valor and courage. Be an Indian soldier. Live with dignity, die with honor. We will also hear from an expert to help guide you in making an important decision. So sit back, relax, and join us in exploring what it takes to be a part of the prestigious Indian Army.
Stay tuned as we dive into this exciting journey together.
But what is this population doing? It is doing only two things: wasting its time on social media that they claim help them to improve their so-called non-existent social skills, or it is preparing to enter IIT.
But how many of them are thinking about their country? Forget thinking about the country, how many of them plan staying in the country after their studies? I'm not saying all, but at least 3/4 of them are going to flee this nation in the pursuit of better facilities, the lure of the dollar, and a much more desired title of the NRI. It is this ideology of yours that is not letting our country prosper. I am damn sure that India would have been developed years ago if the previous generations would have dropped this mindset. Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, Neil Mohan, Arvind Krishna, and many more have been lost already. And we can't afford to lose you.
Today in this Bharat Rakshak Insight seminar, we have amidst us four very special guests. We have with us an officer, an engineer, a pilot, and a doctor from the Indian Army. They are here to make you bags of meat-real people whose blood is filled with love, respect, and pride for their motherland. They are here so that you feel an urge to maintain that pride for the next generation. They will not try. Instead, they will surely inspire at least a few of you to join the army.
So please welcome our inspiring officer, Colonel Krishna. Our smartest engineer, Colonel Nakul. Our experienced flyer, Lieutenant Colonel Chetan. And our strong-willed doctor, Major Amrita. Kindly take a seat. Good morning, Inspirers.
A very good morning to all of you.
How are you? I hope the ride till here was comfortable.
Ah, yes. Thanks for the pickup facility. And yes, we are perfectly fine. Just in a mood to inspire.
To begin with, could you share with us an inspiring power-packed incident?
I remember bullets were flying like birds in the air as death swooped down like vultures on the terrorists that we were fighting. We were outnumbered, but still, our morals were high. The crossfiring continued for about an hour, but in the end, all 12 of the terrorists lay on the ground, lifeless, without any casualties on our side.
But you were badly injured. I must say, fighting even after having all those wounds was commendable.
Hey guys, don't you think that even I played a role there? Well, I guess without the equipment and ammunition that I brought you, you would have won that battle anyways, right? Nakul, at least you say something.
Yeah, surely. Your help was much needed. I don't think I would have been able to clear those landmines and roadblocks without your help. I'm sure Krishna acknowledges that too.
So let's proceed further with the next.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me.
Yes?
Wouldn't it have been the most memorable day of your life?
Yes, it surely was. It was like a dream come true. I joined the army for such a day. Bullets don't bother you if you truly love and want to do something for your country.
Excuse me, sir.
Yes?
Sir, I too want to contribute to our country. It feels essential for me to serve and repay at least a small part of debt I owe to my motherland, as it adds purpose to my life.
You really have matured. Now you're in the 9th grade. I think you should start considering career options for your brighter future.
We have been thinking about joining the army. We really want to serve our country.
Children, don't let your excitement overpower your decision. The army isn't only about bullets and aggression. It demands physical as well as mental endurance. We have thought about this before. We have been thinking about this since our childhood. The day we saw the respect an army man's personality commands, we knew where our future lay.
But for our dreams to become reality, you have to tell all the things that we need to know before joining the army.
Sure, that's the reason why today we have come to this seminar. Here, we're going to explain everything one should know about before joining the army. I hope we can inspire at least a few of your generation to join the army.
My first question then will be, what after 10th?
I would say that after 10th you should decide whether you want to join the army or not, as joining the army isn't easy. It requires physical strength as well as mental endurance. The army isn't only about fighting in wars and in encounters, but they also have to do many peacekeeping operations and rescue operations. If joining the army isn't harder than joining IIT, which the present generation is so obsessed with, it isn't easier to. I would say that after 12th, there are 5 ways to become a lieutenant officer, or in other words, a commissioned officer.
Could you please elaborate?
Sure, the 5 ways are: take the UPSC exam and join the NDA after 10 plus 2, take the technical graduate course, take the technical entry scheme after 10 plus 2 in the science stream, take the CDS exam, follow the university entry scheme after getting an engineering degree, and take the technical graduate course after getting an engineering degree.
Now we can't explain each and every detail due to the lack of time. So let me tell you a few basic facts that are very important to know. Out of all these, only the UPSC and the CDS aspirants have to give an entrance exam. But all of them have to give an SSB interview and a medical test. Only the NDA and the CDS candidates don't require a degree. But after training, they usually get a BA or a PSc. The candidates get 1 to 4.5 years of training under the NDA, OTA and IMA.
Thanks a lot. Could you please tell our audience about the different divisions in the army? It will surely help them to decide what to do after joining the army.
The 1.2 million army men are divided into 37 divisions. Currently, we have 4 rapid action divisions, which are always ready for war. 18 divisions of infantry, which consist of soldiers on foot with light weapons. 10 mountain divisions, which are trained in mountain warfare. We also have 3 divisions of armory, which are provided with and trained to use tanks and other armed vehicles. We also have 2 divisions of artillery, which provide massive firepower support. The Indian Army also has its own engineers and doctors. The doctors are aspirants who clear NEET and join the Armed Forces Medical College in Pune.
This information will surely be helpful. Sir, you told us about becoming a commissioned officer. What next? Could you please tell us about the promotions?
The promotion in the army happens in 2 ways. One is time scale. For example, 1 year for captain, 4 for major, 7 for lieutenant colonel, 8.5 for colonel, 12 for brigadier, 20 for major general, and 25 for lieutenant general. The second is selection grade. Ranks above lieutenant colonel are given based on merits and qualifications. Time of service also matters, but the former is given more priority.
Money is seen as everything by today's generation. So could you please elaborate on the salaries and stipends?
Well, I would say that Nakul was always the one concerned about money. I mean the best with numbers. Nakul, could you please answer this on our behalf?
The earning starts right from training. A stipend of rupees 56,000 is given during the training at the NDA, OTA, and IMA. After commissioning, the salary structure is like rupees 56,000 for lieutenant, rupees 61,000 for captain, rupees 69,000 for major, 1,21,000 for lieutenant colonel, 1,30,000 for colonel, 1,40,000 for brigadier, and so on.
Sir, this salary can easily be earned in private jobs outside the country. So why will someone choose the army?
I know very well that most of the people in this generation won't join the army, thinking it doesn't have that much money. So let me tell them something. In the countries to which most of them flee, inflation is excessively high. In US and Britain, you have to pay 4 times, 6 times as much to get the basic necessities. Madness it is. People in the army get a lot of other benefits that not many know about.
Yes, they are given many awareness, DNS, special projects, field area, technical, counterinsurgency, children education, and many more. Because the salary increases by rupees 25,000. Above that, they are also given many perks like concession in rail and air travel fares, free canteen facilities, hospital services, pension for life, ration for family, etc.
Your knowledge is truly commendable. Now, we have actually covered with all the questions, but I personally have a doubt. Is your cook also an army man?
Oh yes, the cooks are also army men, alright. Nakul, are you able to recall something?
Answer? Seems like you aren't able to, huh?
Oh, that truly was a glorious moment.
Ooh, sounds interesting. Would you mind sharing your story with the audience?
Sure. Let me tell you that story so that we can end on a fun and informal note. Well, we three have always been together. Once, we were posted in Arunachal, beautiful place by the way, with beautiful people. There, we had a cook Mukesh, who had exceptional culinary skills. One day, Krishna challenged Mukesh to an aiming competition against Mukesh.
Let me continue. What Nakul didn't know was that Mukesh was a gold medalist during his training. Nakul was trying his best, but still he couldn't match Mukesh's skills. Unbeknownst to them, I had to call another officer there. She was the apple of Nakul's eye. The name of the officer was Amrit.
It's a children's seminar, for God's sake. Come on, guys, please.
Inspirers, the journey on which you embarked years ago has surely been completed now. People like you, who have patriotism flowing in their veins, are a blue moon. Today, you have truly become a beacon of inspiration. You really have started the fire of patriotism in each and every one of our viewers. But now I think it's time to bid painful, unwilling farewells. Thank you and have a nice day.
Thanks to you all for giving us this opportunity to guide these young footsteps. Thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, today we are incredibly honored to welcome a distinguished guest who has dedicated his life in serving our nation and inspiring others to join the Indian Army.
Please join us in welcoming Colonel Harish Kumar, an esteemed army veteran who has spent his childhood in Europe and Chandigarh. A proud alumni of St. John's School, Chandigarh. Colonel Harish Kumar further pursued his passion by joining the prestigious National Defence Academy and subsequently the engineers in the Indian Army.
Colonel Harish Kumar is not only a decorated military professional but also an exceptional scholar with a B.Tech degree in mechanical engineering and an M.Tech from IIT Chennai. He has showcased his versatility and commitment to excellence.
Throughout his service in the Indian Army, he has been deployed across various parts of our country. He has made a significant impact through combat engineering, power projects, marine works, highways and hospitals. We must also mention that this nearby Apollo Hospital is one of his esteemed projects.
Currently associated with Just Look Hospital, Colonel Harish Kumar's vast experience serves as an inspiration to us all. We are truly privileged to have him here today to share his insight and encourage more youth to join the noble profession of serving our nation through the Indian Army.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us give a resounding round of applause for our chief guest, Colonel Harish Kumar.
Good morning, Boscoites. Good morning. Lovely. That's a little better. At the onset, let me thank Mrs. Sangeeta Bhattacharya for this wonderful opportunity, and Mrs. Sujata. And a big congratulations to the team which put together the presentation today. They more or less covered a very, very large aspect of our Indian Army as such, but our defense forces, they comprise the Indian Army, the Air Force, the Navy, and the Coast Guard. Many of you may not be aware, even the Survey of India, the border roads, the MES, they all come under the Indian Army. Actually, there's lots and lots and lots to explain and talk about the Indian Army, and one can go on for hours. With the few minutes that we have together today, I'll try to cover a few aspects. But before that, let me ask you all some very, very basic questions. Young lad, you go home after this? Why? Why? Good, to take rest. Any other answers? Yeah, tell me.
Because home is the place we belong. Because home is where we
Go on, you're on the right lines.
Because home is where we belong.
Go on. And what do you feel once you go at home? You feel comfort. You feel secure. You're in an environment where you know that you are going to be taken care of. It's the place where you go when you want to feel comfortable. Am I right? It's your home. Why do we call it home? You can define it yourself. I'm sure many of you are very net savvy. You can find the definition of home there. Now imagine if you had a home which took care of not just the four walls in which you are, but it took care of your entire life. That you're living in an environment day in and day out, you venture out of those four walls which you call your house, and you go anywhere, and yet you're still inside a very secure home. That every person you encounter in the home, you might encounter 2 people, 4 people, 6 people, but when you go out, you're encountering hundreds of them. Now, if you're living in an environment where all these hundreds and thousands of people where you're living are part of your home, then you can be rest assured you're living in a defense environment. Because that's what the Army can give you. That's what the Navy, the Air Force can give you when you live in any of their military stations. Let me ask you all, think, those of you who have traveled around India, anywhere, which are the localities in any city where you feel secure, where you feel it clean, and where you suddenly say, wow, what a place. Why can't I stay here? When you think about it, you'll find it will be the army, the military cantonments, or the military stations. Now, why is this? It's not that they get extra money to look after their places. As a matter of fact, they get less money than what we get elsewhere. It's because it is ingrained into all the people who are living there, the people who are taking care of that place, that this is our home. We have to look after it. And they make sure that it is good. Now, when you grow up in such an environment, year after year after year, you become a changed person. That's the difference. So you're spending a large amount of your life living in a very, very pleasant, good, safe, secure environment in which you would really like to call home. So as a result, your family increases. Mark my words, when you join the army, when you join these units, which some of them spoke about, they become your family for life. It's very difficult to explain out here. Just like your children over the last 10, 11 years have formed a little family in your classroom, but you're all going to go apart. Some of the classes, you might retain your homogeneity and continue to be in touch. But mark my words, in the army you remain in touch throughout your lives. This is something which no one else, no other service in the world gives. And this is a phenomenon all over the world. Now that's something which the army offers that no one else will offer. Now what is the army? Today I'm going to talk about the army basically. Now what is the army? Our wonderful children out here, they try to explain. They explain the army, divisions, etc. Forget that. Put that aside. The army comprises of professional work which covers the entire ambit of your life. Like what? In case you require engineers, which everyone does. So we have the engineers in the army. All construction, destruction, everything is the forte of the engineers. It's such a vast topic that I can go on for another 15 minutes on it. I'll come back to it. We have doctors in the army, which is the Army Medical Corps. We have the supply chain in the army, which is called the logistics in the civil world, which is handled by the Army Ordnance Corps and the Army Service Corps. We have the communications in the army, which we all know about in our life, which is called the Corps of Signals. We have the electrical and mechanical engineers in the army, which deal with all sorts of repair works. And all these are supporting what? We have the postal service in the army. We have the education service in the army. All these are supporting what? They're supporting a fighting corps. Like he talked about the infantry. Who is the infantry? The infantry is the foot soldier. You take the foot soldier, put him in mechanized vehicles, you call it the mechanized infantry. What are mechanized vehicles? The armored personal carriers which you hear about. We have the tanks in the army which we call the armored corps. They're the people who fight in tanks. Okay. We have the Army Aviation Corps. They're the ones who fly the helicopters. We have the big guns. They're the artillery. Guns of all sorts. They're the ones which can fire 40 kilometers away, 50 kilometers away. So you're sitting out here and you're hitting 40 kilometers away, halfway to Pune. Now these are all different what we call corps of the Indian Army. Now I'll not confuse you with words, but these are all what you could term as different departments in the army. So when you join the army, through whatever ways which we'll come to, you will be finally joining one of these departments, of course, or services, or arms. There are different names for it. So you'll be joining either the infantry, or the armored, or the artillery, or the engineers, or whatever. And you remain with that for life. Right now, children, I'm speaking to you only about joining the army as an officer. But I don't expect anything less than you. So how do you join the army as an officer? As they said, you join through the NDA. NDA is right after school. 16 and a half years onwards, you can join the NDA. What's NDA? NDA is basically a college. NDA is a college which is affiliated with the Jawaharlal Nehru University. It sprawls over 7,000 acres. In addition to studies, what do? You learn physical training, you learn horse riding, you learn cricket, you learn basketball, you got the best squash, you learn sailing, you learn rowing, you learn all the exciting things which we in the young youth think of. That's what you can do at the NDA. You can't do it anywhere else, mark you. Even in the best of schools in India don't offer you that. India offers you that. All free of cost. You finish your India 3 years out there, provided you pass all the semesters. You got exams there. You got to study. Okay, and you got the best of practices there and the best of facilities out there. For India, if you're an army cadet, you go to the IMA. If you're an Air Force cadet, you go to the Air Force Academy. If you're a naval cadet, you go to the Naval Academy. At the IMA, you do another 1 year out there. That's where you're taught pure army training. Your tactics and further specialized army training. After you pass out from the IMA, that's when you get your arm or service or department, as I called it. And that's when you're commissioned as an officer. And as an officer, yes, there were certain pay scales which are put over there. The actual take home is certainly much more than that. And it's very comfortable. In addition to that, it's a government service. And what do the government service providers officers? They provide them housing, they provide them a fair amount of transport, they get a certain amount of allowances, etc., etc., etc. And it's lifelong. It changes in terms of quantity. After you retire, you get your pensions, etc. So that's like a regular government service. So the army is like a regular government service with lots of glamour attached to it, lots of training, but what is most important is you become a good human being. Okay. That's one way to join the army. The other way, what was mentioned, the CDS, that's the UPSC. Pass out from school, you go to attend college, and you say, okay, I want to join the army right now. So you join the army then, you appear for an exam, and you go to the IMA straight. Another way is you do your schooling, do your college, and you go and join the OTA. OTA is where you join the army for a short term and which is extendable to a longer term. You do your engineering, you can join as a technical graduate, but then you will be having the opportunity to go to any of the technical arms of the Indian Army. The engineers, the AME, the signals, what I was talking about initially. You can join any of them. The other way is the Army has also got its own engineering colleges, which is what they talked about, the technical entry scheme. So those of you who want to do your engineering and do it at the government cost and get a job thereafter and in the Indian Army, you enter through the TES, the Technical Entry Scheme. And where are the three colleges? One is located in CME in Pune, the other is in Mau, and the third is in Secunderabad. So you can join the army through that way. So these are the ways of joining the army. Any questions so far? No questions. Absolutely clear. Please, just get up and speak. Yeah.
Hello. So I wanted to ask, what are Agniveers?
Sorry, could I have your question again? What?
I wanted to ask, what are Agniveers?
Okay. Right. Agniveers actually are things which I'm not going to talk about with you all right now, but because you asked the question, it's not your level because I said I'm thinking of you as officers only. Now, in addition to the army, in addition to the officer cadre in the army, you have the soldiers, the non-commissioned officers, what we call havaldars, and we have the JCOs, okay? What in the army, what in the police you call inspectors, okay? They're all below the officer rank. Agniveer is a new concept which started by this present government, wherein they will recruit the youth to join as soldiers for a short period of time and thereafter release them. Those who wish to stay on, they have to prove themselves, and a certain percentage of them continue in the Indian Army. The rest can be released. They are joined at a very young age and they are also released at a young age. That's what the Agniveer. It's a new concept started by the government recently to recruit the soldiers at the lowest level for the Indian Army. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Doesn't apply to anyone who's sitting out here. Okay. Yes, please.
Good morning, sir. I want to ask that how can commerce students join INA? Should I repeat? How can commerce students join Indian Army?
The Indian Army has got only a fair amount of technical people. The rest, I assure you, are non-technical. Non-technical mean they're art students or they're commerce students. They're from any other field. Like I said, once you join the NDA, you're doing a graduation course. And as told out there, it's either a BA degree or a BSc degree. So a commerce student fits very well into the BA degree. You got the army, you got a legal wing also in the Indian Army called the Judge and Advocate General branch. Okay? The Indian Army, as I said, covers the entire aspect of human professional life. You name it, it's there. Any other question? I see none of the girls are asking any questions. Mind you, the first girl who went to Antarctica, she worked under me. And I had the proud privilege of recommending her name for it. And she was very happy. So, none of the girls, don't clap for me, clap for her. Right. Okay. There's another question out there.
Morning, sir. Sir, what happens if we get injured in the army?
Right. Like I said, you see, he asked a relevant question, like you get injured. I'm sure many of you have already got injured on the playfield. Getting injured in the army is the same thing. You get injured in the army, you get treated out there. Okay? It's simple as that. But however, I think your question tried to go one step further. What happens if you get injured to an extent wherein you are physically disabled? Am I right? Correct. I myself have broken my bones 3 times, okay? Doesn't make a difference. Now, in case you're physically disabled, that all happened in NBA, okay, or on the hockey field. Now, if you get disabled in the Indian Army, because the Indian Army requires a certain amount of physical fitness, there are also posts within the Indian Army, which is another government service, wherein a person with that kind of physical fitness can serve. It means you don't have your full physical fitness, but you can serve in that appointment. So you can get posted to one of those appointments. In addition to that, you do get some disability allowances, etc., which is a disability pension, which remains with you for lifelong. Okay, but it takes care of itself, and it takes care of itself better than you'll be taken care of elsewhere. Because elsewhere you're on your own. Out here, you're figuring the very first thing I said: you're living in a family. I can quote so many examples how we ourselves right now are taking care of our people, our widows whose husbands have passed away. We take care of them right now, and it's pan-India. Okay, it's pan-India, and it goes on lifelong. It is actually a family which is very difficult to explain out here, which is spread all over India. Any other questions? Yes, please. Young ladies first.
So my question is that spectacles, so will it hinder in the process of me getting into the army or somehow?
Okay.
Me having specs.
Think about it logically. What are spectacles for? They are for improving your eyesight. Where do you need perfect eyesight? If you're going to fly a helicopter, if you're going to fly an aircraft, if you're going to join the Indian Navy. And in the Indian Navy, only if you're going to captain the ship or if you have to be in an executive post. Other than that, there's no harm to spectacles. Now, for that, the Indian Army has a medical examination every year, mind you. You go through a medical examination where they check you out. Out here, we go and pay 4,000 rupees out there in the hospital next door to get an annual medical checkup done. They do it for free. Yep.
A very good morning, sir. I wanted to ask, what are the other perks in the Indian Army?
What are the other?
Perks in the Indian Army that we can get.
I couldn't get that word out.
Perks, perks.
Perks. Perks. Okay. Right. You see, if you're talking in terms of materialistic terms, okay, that's day-to-day life. One is the quality of life. Have you ever been to a 5-star? You would have. Have you ever been to a governor's house? I don't know. Okay. Have you ever seen royalty at a table? I don't know. Now let me tell you, these are the norms in a regular officer's mess. Whether you want to call it a perk or whether you want to call it quality of life, that's up to you. Coming down more materialistically, the Indian Army is a government service. The government service offers certain perks. Certain appointments, you do get your own transport. Call it a perk. Okay. You do get a house to live in. How good or how bad it is, it's a government house. And some of the houses can be very good, and some of them can be not so good. But it's a government house. You do get a perk. Whether you want to call it a perk or not, it's up to you. Because we are very often in the field area and distance area where groceries and certain items are difficult, so a system of CSD, Canteen Service Department, had been set up. Canteen Store Department set up decades and centuries ago. That continues. It happens in the city also. So you got the city wherein you get your items at the price but without the tax, so it becomes a little cheaper. It becomes 30 to 40% cheaper than what you'd get in the regular market at Reliance Market. You might like to call it a perk. Okay. But mind you, the biggest perk which I'm saying is what I'm talking again and again. You are getting to live in a very extended family. You're getting a very secure environment. You're living in a military area, in a military cantonment. The quality of life out there itself, I think, is one of the biggest perks, which you cannot and will not get anywhere else.
Yes, sir.
The other perks, you can always check up on the net because those are regular government service perks. You get those perks in the Indian Army. Yes, young lad. You started the conversation, you can end it today. Last question. Yeah.
Can you share any experience of yours in the army?
I can, but not right now. Okay, it will go on and on and on. Okay, because you would be more exciting in listening to my experience when we were, say, with the militants or with the engineers or whatever. So it's a different experience everywhere. Like what you're seeing in Sikkim right now, I can tell you, which you all would have heard of in the Sikkim floods, that it's been a bad area. Well, we have been there. I've been there with my family also. So we then decided to drive up into North Sikkim. We kept driving. The air became more rarefied, and we went up to the so-called highest Gurdwara in the world, which is at Guru Dongma, 16,400 feet. And when we were coming back, we had landslides. So there I was with my wife, my 2 kids, and of course, a little bit of our army family with me, stuck out there, way in the North Mountains of Sikkim, not knowing how to come back, how to get out. My daughter was a little girl this big. So we went into a nearby army camp. They always welcomed anywhere. We stayed there one night. We found the landslide not going to clear, and it's going to stay there for months. What to do? So my daughter went on my shoulder. Okay. My son went with my wife's hand, and we trudged about 27 kilometers through the mountains, through the river, through the forest, with our luggage and with other people, and came onto the other side of the landslide. And mind you, it was raining, there was fog, there was everything, there were rocks falling, etc., etc. And we managed to come out there and come out with our family. It took a full day of effort, and of course the children still remember it. Now that's one of the smaller examples. I wouldn't like to share with you all the other military examples of firing, etc., etc. This is not the right forum for that. Okay. There are lots of other examples. Now this is just one adventurous example like that. But there are a lot of technical examples. And one of the technical examples is, we were carrying out a lot of works. You can construction works up there, and there was no water for construction. However, our team out there had kerosene. So those laggards, what they did was they were doing some concrete construction, and I went there to inspect, and I asked the commander out there, I said, Chaturvedi, how did you construct this? I want to know this wall which has come up, this bunker which is constructed out there. So he hummed and hawed and he changed the topic. 10 minutes later I caught hold of him again. I said, तूने मुझे बतलाया नहीं, ये तूने कैसे बनाई थी ये तूने? Then finally he muttered, कहते सो पानी तो मिला नहीं हमको इधर. So kerosene के 2 barrel पड़े हुए थे. I said, you, this wall is made of cement, sand and kerosene. To the house. That's engineering for you. You don't find it elsewhere. Okay. Yeah, Sangla. You were with your hand up for a long time. Seems like a popular boy. What's his name? Can you give him a mic, please? You can hear his name.
Good morning, sir. What's the retiring age of the Indian officer?
Yeah, the Indian Army officer retires depending upon your rank at the age of 54, 56, 58, 59, 60 or 62. Now, that depends upon your rank.
What's your...
No, I took premature retirement. I left early. I left very early. I left before I reached 50 also. Okay, right. But it changes as per your rank. Okay. Yeah, there was a young girl sitting behind you. Yeah, you had a question? Okay, I'll take her question, then yours. Yours is the last question, please.
Jai Hind, sir.
Jai Hind.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I just wanted to...
I can hear you. We all can hear you. Keep speaking.
Does the girls get an opportunity to fight?
Can you get your mic near your mouth? Yeah.
Does the girls get an opportunity to fight with the enemies?
You see, your question, children, she has asked a question which actually brings in a lot of other aspects. So I will not answer your question directly, but I'll give you the answer I want to give you. You know, fighting and war and all seems very romantic in the movies. But let me tell you, it's not a romantic thing. And it's something which every human being likes to avoid. As a matter of fact, the best armies in the world are those where the country doesn't have to fight a war. The country doesn't have to fight a war. Rest assured, the country has got a very good army. Okay. So, war and fighting is something which the army likes to avoid, which is one of the reasons you will find that army people generally are the very peaceful and sharp people they can be. However, the ladies who have joined the Indian Army as such, they were initially put into soft appointments wherein you don't have to face the enemy straight on. But slowly, this is changing gradually. So they are still not in the Indian infantry, which are the foot soldiers which have to go into battle very often. Not that the others don't go into the battle. The first people who go into battle are invariably the engineers, but they are the ones who have to go and clear the minefields. Then the infantry follows. And I being in the engineers, I know I do have lady officers there. So the army per se, by its virtue of its postings and positioning, tries to avoid the ladies from going into straight battle. But whether it has to fight the enemy or not depends upon the enemy. You may not go to the enemy might come to you. So as a result, the ladies have to be trained for everything. Okay? But I come back to the first thing, war and fighting is not a nice thing. We should try and avoid it. She had a question.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I was thinking like my height can be affected for the Indian aviation, as there is a height limit.
Yes. He talked on the screen was presented a medical examination. In the medical examination, one of the things which checked is obviously your height. And there is a certain height limit for joining the Indian Army as such. And the aviation is just another arm of the Indian Army. And as I said, you don't get aviation on the word go. You get it only when you're passing out from the Army. Okay? So if you join the Indian Army, that means you're fit for the aviation as well. I think, thank you very much.
Thanks a lot, sir, for that enlightening and inspiring speech.
Now I would like to call upon Aditya for the vote of thanks.
Good morning, everyone. I stand here today as a proud and grateful student to express my heartfelt thanks to all those who have made this event possible. First and foremost, I would like to express my gratitude to Principal Ma'am for providing us with the opportunity to present this program. I would like to thank Vashisht and Shrutika for the PPT and script, Shrutika and Tejasri for the invitation card, Ananya and Ronit, Jaden, Tejasri, Shrutika, Lyndon, Ishan, and Hassan for the backdrop, and special thanks to Jaden and Ronit for directing the program, and to Vivena ma'am and Sujata ma'am for the guidance. I would like to express my heartfelt gratitude to our guest of honor, Mr. Harish Kumar, for addressing us on the topic of the Indian Army. Last but not the least, I would like to thank all the participants who have made this program a grand success. Thank you.